Well, howdy, Nearly Senior Citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this a brand new day. It is raining now. It was kind of raining last night. It was misty and kind of chill, and I slept well in the cooler temperatures. I sleep well when it gets colder, and it wasn't really cool or cold last night, but hey, I slept when I went to bed, and that's good. And it is raining now, and that's good too. We need the rain. Especially, I do better when it's raining because all the rain takes the particulates out of the air, and then I'm not sneezing. Now that it's been raining, I can take my sleep apnea mask off in the morning, and I don't immediately start flooding the world with all of my mucus from my sinuses, and I don't immediately start hacking and wheezing. In fact, I've been able to partake of THC either in pre-roll or in pipe, and I don't immediately hack and cough upon breathing because there's not all this junk in the air, and that's good. And of course, to front load the video, if you could interact with the YouTube algorithms and hit the like button if you like and see what you hear, that would be very, very cool, greatly appreciated. If you could also subscribe to the channel if you haven't, that would be very cool. Engaging with the YouTube algorithms is awesome. Definitely a good thing. Also, excuse me, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These beautiful and awesome people help to keep me alive, keeping a roof over my head, food in my belly, pain medication so I can move, and my pets alive. Thank you so very, very much. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. If you could become a Patreon patron, that too would be beautiful and awesome and wonderful. Thank you, each and every one of these people. It is greatly appreciated. Hopefully I time things halfway closely and don't just, didn't keep my hands up for no reason or bring them down way too early. So we'll see what happens. Life, of course, continues, though. I'm not doing a ton. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the whole motivation thing. Since it really started to happen when the seasons started to change and it started getting darker, I have had more troubles with basic depression and with motivation. And that's bad. I don't like that. But life is life, I'm doing what I can, trying to push ahead and keep things going. Yay! Also, I had, excuse me, talked with my therapist about how I had felt that I am not sure if some of the things that I have done and had as things of my depression and ADHD and various autistic person habits, I have noticed that they feel like they've gotten worse, but at the same time, does that actually mean they are? Because now that this year I have become aware that I'm not just depressed, there's a whole lot more. And now that I know what these things are, various things I had seen periodically through my life and then noticed this past year, the question becomes, are they really happening with more frequency? Or, now that I'm aware that they actually happen because of the kind of person I am and the things that are in my DNA, am I just noticing them now more because I'm aware that they exist? That would sure seem like it's happening a lot more, wouldn't it? It's like with, people being left-handed. They used to punish people for being left-handed, and once that in the United States, for real, honest, and for true, you'd get your hand slapped, or worse, they would bind hands so that you would have to use your right hand. Luckily, that stopped. But it went from a small number of people with left-hand preference to a huge number, and then settled back down to the normal, about 10%. It's not that there were more people left-handed, it's just that the left-handedness could now be seen because they didn't have to hide it. It could be the same way with the things that I'm noticing, where it's not that I'm doing them more, it's just that now that I'm aware I'm doing them, I can see them when it happens. So, yay? I mean, one thing that is funny and horrific at the same time. I have noticed throughout my life that there are various types of clothing that are very difficult for me to wear because I don't like folded or wrinkled cloth underneath other cloth against my body. If my t-shirt underneath here doesn't lie straight and is pulled tight so that it can't wrinkle against my skin, I can't take that. I cannot take that texture and feel. I never have throughout my life. And now I know why, the whole textures thing, I can't take that. And yesterday I was wearing this shirt that's a very thin shirt. And there's a lot more material up top, oddly enough, so it tends to pull up and bunch up here. So I gotta pull it downward and tightly and make sure it's done so that it doesn't pull upward. That's just a weird feeling. I'm okay with it unless the shirt underneath is kind of the same material-ish and it tends to bunch and wrinkle. Oh my God, making that shirt underneath fit flat so there was no wrinkling, no bunching. Oh, it was horrible. Just that texture, that feeling, it is the worst thing in the world. Which is why, now that I've realized that there are some foods and reasons why I eat the way I eat and have eaten the way I eat my whole life. I used to love chili with beans, but I've always had problems with some kinds of texture mixing, and now this part is worse. I have difficulty eating chili anymore at all because the texture and shape of beans inside of food just I can't do it anymore. I have to avoid the beans if I eat chili. If I accidentally now put chili in mashed potato stuff, I can do everything but the beans. Even seeing the round shape of those beans in the mashed potatoes is just all not good, and I can't eat them. So that part's worse, but the rest of it, I'm just finally coming to notice why. I also did want to talk about, here's some other stuff before I run out, because I really sort of not talked about this stuff a whole bunch, but every time I go out walkies all day long, I'm doing my best to think about the creative stuff, and especially right now with this whole inside outside razor's edge idea. I am constantly working on that, and so I want to talk a bit about what's going on inside there. I talked about yesterday how fluid geology, the geology and landscape is on the outside where we are. There's the only here is what's here versus the inside where there's more there. So reality is kind of an infinitely fractal wrinkling, but the razor's edge is so much more. Now people don't worry and freak out about this stuff a whole bunch. In fact, I think one way to look at this is pretty indicative of what happens with a lot of people. Like, you can imagine just, one person gets up, they've got, not a very big house, small place, maybe they live by themselves, and, it doesn't matter what particular gender or sex they happen to be, it's just they live in this particular home. And let's say, it's early morning, halfway woke up, and they're already, this stuff is legal where you live, there's a bit of herb rolled up, and they're feeling pretty nice, and they go down into the basement because they want to get some potatoes to make some breakfast. And they notice, it's all the cord to turn on the lights down in the bottom, so they always have to use the flashlight on their phone, which it's a couple years older now. It's from the Crimson Kingdom electronics stuff. It's a Siaki A6200. It's a couple years old, but it's pretty advanced. But he's using it as a flashlight, and while still just heading down the stairs. But it's like a 1-story landing to get down there, and it's 4 stories he's gone down in this winding circle. And then when finally they realize, it's like, oh, 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 and then turn it around, get blinded by the flashlight app, have to turn that off, and then quickly call up a friend. There's no robo-scam calling in the Crimson Kingdom. And since a lot of this stuff is maintained by the King in Crimson's own stuff, robocalling, scam calling, not an issue. So when people get calls, they actually have voice calls, except a lot of it, because their tech is so much, it's like they do the Zoom calls, except it's just an app on your phone and their tech for some stuff, because the Crimson King loves the electronics. Yeah, you get a standard 8K stream with high tech, at least 7 point whatever, Dolby sound off of that. And it's just like, hey, take a look at this. There's a dungeon in my basement. One of the glamours got me here. I was just walking without thinking. Come on over, head over. Let's take a look down here, because 999,999 times out of a million, you're gonna be fine. And so you go, hey, great! And so you get a couple friends over, and while the glamour is active to guide you there, everyone has fun exploring what this place might be. And so it's cool. People aren't freaked out and worried by it. It's like if you're heading downtown and you're not thinking too clearly, and it's like one time in your entire lifetime you make a turn into a neighborhood that you don't recognize. Things are different, things are wrong, things are odd. You don't panic and freak out. It's like, oh wow, you want to take pictures, you want to take evidence of this, not because you won't believe this, it's so bizarre, but hey, I found this great place. Here's the name of it. Try to keep it in mind the next time you head out. See if you can get there. So, fluid geology and landscape doesn't happen often where there are people, because intelligence and continued use tends to stabilize an area, and cities are massive amounts of people, which makes it massively stable. Still happens, but still largely stable. Now there's the crossroads. I've mentioned the crossroads. When you come from the outside and you go to the inside, you have to pass through the razor's edge, and if you come from the razor's edge to the inside, you pass through the crossroads. If you come from any place on the inside and you're traveling toward the razor's edge or the outside, you will pass through the crossroads. Every door inside has its own razor's edge and its own crossroads. But people being people, crossroads tend to be crossroads. Now, these things being in use so much, individuals can, it's like, your mileage may vary. Just because you have the sight doesn't mean you have full sight. You can be one of those who has just enough sight that you can consciously be affected by this stuff and it's there, to those who see it all. These people who are affected by glamours and can never know and see what the glamour was, versus these people who go, there's the glamour, okay, I gotta turn that way. So there's a lot of that. But the crossroads, if you are normal to low-sighted, you will only see off to the east, to the Western Borough, the Crimson Kingdom, north to the domain of the Pale King, or east or west, I keep getting that all stuck in my head, off to the Association of Sovereign Free States. And then they're south, well not south, but out to the razor's edge, those four directions. So sometimes they're south, and I will talk about that later. And so the crossroads, if you only are low-sighted or to mid-average, let's say it's 50% sighted or less, you will only have those four doors. You can't get anywhere else at the crossroads. If you're like half, from midpoint to full-sighted to here, you keep another destination in mind and you keep walking round and round that crossroads. You can wear reality down with your stubbornness so that another exit will appear. And of course, if you're fully sighted, you get to pick and choose which exit you want to take. And with all the infinite fractal folding, there are an infinite number of various exits to take. So even though there's only those 4 directions you can go at the crossroads, and most people can only go that way, the more sight you have, the more options you have. And of course, then there's south. But hopefully I'll be able to talk about that south door tomorrow. Not door, but exit off the crossroads. It's not there often, and oh boy. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab, and I'm going to go through and thank however many people left me comments, up to 25, though I haven't seen 25 in quite some time. And I'm going to thank these people in the comments. Yay, if I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. I'm an American English speaker, and even though I count American Sign Language on the fingers of this hand, with my depression, fibromyalgia, ADHD, a whole bunch of issues, my memory's getting better, but I do have a functional limit, and it's not as good as everyone else's. We have Man of Goodwill. Did I get that right? Man of a Goodwill. Thumbs up and thank you. There is Ray Martin ZIII or Martinez. Ray Martinez the third, I guess that would be. Thumbs up and thank you very much, and sorry I said that all wrong. We have Lord Maker, greatly appreciated, and Lucifer. I will check in with that. I do not know. There is Quiet Viking, thumbs up. We have Sarah Lee, greatly appreciated. KX1, thank you very much for the information. There is Kapaki, good to see you in the comments. It is good to see people. And Hunter, thumbs up, and good to see you as well. Greatly appreciated, and hope things are going well. There's Bullcrap TV, thumbs up. And Ice Damon, greatly appreciated. And that is it. 11 people who left me comments over the past 24 hours. Thumbs up. Thank you. That's greater than 0, and it is appreciated. Each and every one of you. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text, and that's very cool. I do not know what device you're watching this on, so I do not know where the video description is, but inside I have links to all of my various channels, if you could check that out. There's also links to things like my Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and if, once again, if you could become a patreon.com patron, like one of these beautiful and awesome people, that would be beautiful and awesome. I mean, literally, it is because of these people I am alive. My rent is insane, and I am left with very, very, very little money after that to survive on. So thank you, each and every one of those people. If you could become a beautiful and awesome person, that would be beautiful and awesome. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, I do have links to a PayPal down below, or wherever the link happens to be. If you could check that out, that'd be awesome, because I'm not above grubbing for spare change. I've got so next to nothing, anything helps. So thumbs up on that. But if you'd like to help me out without sending money, I do have an Amazon wish list link where hopefully I've got things, well, I know I've got cat food, but I need to add a few more things on there. So if you could check that out, that'd be cool. But of course, do not feel obligated. I do not feel entitled, and if you cannot or you simply do not donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart where I draw interest, so thank you very much. If you could toss me a like, I appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence, a definite thumbs up, and of course, if you could hit the notification bell on the subscription button, that would be very cool. Thumbs up and thank you very, very much. Well, Hokey smokes. Things are happening around the world, and things are continuing to happen in the United States that are very, very bad. So be prepared for a rocky ride face first into a cliff over the next couple of years. Yay! But seek creativity. Lube your brain as best you can. Stave off dementia. If you don't use it, you do lose it. Seek positivity. I was far too negative for my life, and it only hurts you and those around you. And of course, seek balance in all things. Do not go bouncing off the edges in the extremes. You need to stay on an even keel. Much better. But of course, I'm going to do my best to keep working and being creative, and I hope you do the same. As well as with the Covfefe bug still raging, please, please, please do your part to try not to be around large crowds of others. And if you do have to, maintain your social distancing. Please wear a mask, wash your hands often, try not to touch your face. Get vaxxed if you're not. If you have been, get a booster. You can get through this. It is a plague of the unvaxxed right now. So be smart, please. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that, quite frankly, is a very good thing.